Welcome to New Stripe City, a YouTube channel for diehard Bengals fans. I'm your host, Ace Boogie, and today we're going to talk about AJ Green's free agent market value salary. I've done this in the past. Usually, what I do is I look at the Bengals free agents, the current free agents, and I look around the league and I look at similar players that were drafted around the same time, have similar ages, and I look at their contracts and essentially do a calculation that lets you know what the market value for AJ Green should be. As you guys know, I'm a huge AJ Green fan, one of my favorite Bengals of all time. Would love for him to get a deal done. Hopefully, somebody from the Bengals sees this. AJ, if you see this, obviously I don't know anything about contracts, bro, but I'm definitely rooting for you to stay here, and I feel like you deserve the contract that you should get. But getting into the video, essentially what I did was I looked around the league at different contracts: Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Golden Tate, Julio Jones, T.Y. Hilton. Looked at a lot of guys to determine what fair market value would be, especially for someone like AJ Green. So, as you can see on the screen now, I have what I've come up with as the market value for AJ Green in terms of salary. It looks like he's coming in at 14.2 million a year for 4 years. So that should be something that would be a deal that AJ Green deserves. Now, I'm not sure what the particulars of the offers that the Bengals have given them are, but I think that that's a great starting point. Given that I think that it's fair from a market value standpoint and from a year standpoint. I think one of the reasons for the holdup of this has been the number of years attached, and I would understand why AJ wouldn't take anything less than 2 or 3 years. Or just 1 year. That just wouldn't really make sense. And when you take into account the actual franchise tag and things of that nature, that doesn't make sense either. So I think, given the circumstances, pulling from other salaries that we've seen around the league, I think that this is a no-brainer to give him that. Now, with that being said, this one was somewhat tricky because Julio Jones has had a lot of different changes to his deal where it was modified. Going off of what we have here, was strictly kind of given based off of the average salaries of several other prominent receivers that are near the same caliber as well as same age as him. When you talk about the Golden Tates, when you talk about Antonio Browns, these were guys that are around the same age. I mean, you talk about Julio Jones. So that's what my focus was on, and I hope that this can be a deal that the Bengals get done soon because honestly, I don't think it's that hard. I really don't think it's that hard. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments. I've heard some people think that AJ should probably get close to 18 to 20 million. So it's interesting to see. I don't know if this is why the two sides are that far apart or what it is, but I think if they can meet in the middle, that should be good. And I think 14 million, 14.2 million a year average salary for AJ Green is would be perfect. I don't know what the guarantees look like on that. I was unable to kind of put the guarantees in there, but I think if you give him a salary of that, um, whether that's like what your base salary is or if that's what's really fully guaranteed, I don't think that that's a problem. Like, say for instance, if you had 14 million of his salary that was guaranteed from year to year, so that's times four. You guys can do the math in the comments. And let's say, for instance, you had some escalators that could get him to 18 to 20 million a year if that's what you're looking for, if that's making the Pro Bowl, if that's going to the Super Bowl, if that's the Bengals making winning a playoff game. These have been escalators in the past that they've used, and I think if that's the middle ground between them, if 14 million isn't enough, I think that that should probably be guaranteed. But if it's not enough, I think that you have to put in some of those escalators. So hopefully this deal gets resolved. I'd love to see this guy retire a Bengal. I understand concerns from both sides. AJ, especially with them saying that he wants more than 1 year, and he's earned it. This has been a guy that has stuck by this franchise. Is you see the guys out there like Carson Palmer. He's handling this whole situation extremely professional, and I expect nothing less from this guy. He's the epitome of class. He's done nothing but, said positive things about the Bengals, has done things in the community. When you look at him feeding the homeless, whether it comes to, I think it was the Campbell Soup food station, he is in the community making positive changes. It missed him being in negotiations to stay there. So for me, I think it's a no-brainer that you do this deal. Hopefully, this is a good starting point for both sides. I hope one of them sees this. But like I said, I'm not an agent. Although I know people that are close to AJ, I'm not going to be in his business like that. Please don't ask about that because, I mean, honestly, I just respect his privacy when it comes to that. And I think other people that I know that know him respect that as well. So let's bear through this. Let's hope that the plan is to keep AJ Green long term. It seems that way. Duke Tobin has come out and said things that he definitely wants to keep AJ Green. But, we're about that action, boss. We got to see some action behind that. Like, they can say anything. But until we see a contract signed on the dotted line, that's what we have to see there. And, I mean, AJ is making a commitment. This is his last year. This is his last probably big contract that he'll get. Well, I'm not saying this is his last season playing, but this is probably his last big contract, especially being if he were to take a 4-year deal, that would bring him up to about 35, 36. So you're looking at the Larry Fitzgerald kind of contracts at that in that area. But AJ believes he can play for another 5 years. I think that this 4-year deal does that. If his body doesn't continue to hold up, I don't think that it's that much that you're really giving away. I mean, look at the way that your salary cap is structured now, right? There's a lot of guys that are really taking up space that probably shouldn't, and he's not really one of them. And if you were to have him there, I don't think that it's killing you, especially once you see some of the other videos that I do that shows you how they could easily come up with this money immediately. You talk about Andy Dalton. You could easily cut Andy Dalton and have the money for AJ Green. There's absolutely no reason for them to not have this money, and we're not even talking about money that they probably rolled over from last season. So when it comes to AJ Green, they have the money. Just make sure the deal is done. Make sure it's fair for both sides. The man deserves it. He's never shown up to camp overweight. He's never had any off the field issues. He's never had any issues like outside of maybe injuries, but injuries are gonna happen. They're gonna happen. So we'll have to see how this goes. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. And as usual, I will leave you guys with a who day, all day, every day, and especially on Sunday.